Oops. Good afternoon, good morning, and good day, wherever you may be joining us from. Welcome to another edition of the Digital Download, the longest running weekly business talk show on LinkedIn Live, now globally syndicated on TuneIn Radio through IBGR, the world's #1 business talk, news, and strategy radio network. Today on Digital Download, we're solving the biggest standoff between sales and marketing, personal branding versus brand safety. For revenue teams, personalized engagement at scale is a non-negotiable. But when sellers tend to generic AI tools, the resulting speak damages their credibility and terrifies the marketing and compliance departments. How do you empower a sales team to claim their digital territory authentically without risking your corporate reputation? That's what we're going to talk about today. But before we kick off the discussion, let's go around the set and introduce everyone. While we're doing this, why don't you in the audience reach out to a friend, ping them, and have them join us? We strive to make the digital download an interactive experience, and audience participation, as you well know, is highly encouraged. Adam, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Adam Gray. I'm co-founder of DLA Ignite and aspertillo.ai. And this is a fascinating topic. And when Tim and I started DLA Ignite 10 years ago, we have had 10 years of wrestling with overcoming this particular challenge for the companies that we work with. So this is something which is, I guess, very close to our hearts, and I'm very much looking forward to today.
Obviously, I didn't pronounce your first name correctly. Ellen, introduce yourself.
I did think you said Helen, but then Adam came in. So, Helen Mackenzie.
I'm so sorry. I thought you had said Adam.
No, that's okay. That's
Adam, Helen.
Yeah, Helen Mackenzie, proud partner of DLA Ignite, and wondering whether I'm damaging my corporate brand because I've got rather a lot of whiskey in the background of my picture.
All right. Well, I don't think so. Tim?
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for watching and listening. My name is Tim Hughes. I'm the CEO and co-founder of DLA Ignite and aspertillo.ai. And I'm famous for writing the book Social Selling and Influence, using social media for cold outreach and new business sales.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you. And myself, Bertrand Godillot, I am the founder and managing partner of Odysseus & Co., as well as co-founder of aspertillo.ai. And I'm very, very excited about what we're going to talk today. So let's start with a foundational question for you, my friends. How to instantly replicate a top performer's unique voice and expertise so they sound like themselves, not a generic robot. Is that achievable by any means?
Well, up until very recently, no. And, this has been the challenge for every organization, hasn't it? Is that we've got the corporate approved strategic branded content that the company publish into the marketplace, and it has little or no traction and no recognition. That content, whether it's delivered direct from the company or through the people that work within the company, gets zero traction. But when individuals speak with their own voice, it potentially gets huge traction because each individual is the only thing that everyone in their network has in common. So people want to hear what they have to say. So the scaling of the human, my voice to my network with the company's overlay of how it wants to go to market has always been a challenge for organizations, hasn't it?
Yeah, and I think I would add to that is that when we look out over LinkedIn, I think that there's a lot of AI slop out there. There's a lot of stuff that's created, which is pretty rubbish. I think all of us, when we're scrolling through our news feeds on LinkedIn, we apart from the here I am at the sales kickoff, or here I am on the stand, or here I am at some conference. Apart from that, there's not a lot of stuff that that really people want to read, and what we need is something that's going to excite us, that's going to entertain us, that's going to provide us with tell me something I don't know. But if I'm connected to somebody, I want it in their voice.
And I think it's one of the things that people struggle with. I think I was listening to a podcast a while ago that was talking about marketing attribution, but it was saying most people come on LinkedIn and don't engage at all, and I think part of that is because they are nervous about communicating in a way that isn't the brand voice. So one of the interesting things for me around being able to do this, which is obviously something we're talking about, is that the more I'm able to post and the more it's in my voice, the more confident I am to contribute, because I'm getting a feel for what I'm supposed to be talking about, but also that actually it's okay for me to comment in a way that is authentic to me. And that's that I think that's really important. I think I had I do videos with my beanie on up on the cliff. You may or may not be able to hear what I'm saying, but for some companies that might not align, or you might feel that might not align with the brand guidelines and the brand values. So the more that we can sort of give people a feel for what the guardrails are around this, the more I think liberated people will be to be able to speak in their own voice, other than saying your dog looks lovely, or what a lovely child you've put on, that's a lovely story, and actually engage in a meaningful way of content. So it's an interesting space, I think.
I'm just going to, before we go on, I'm just reading my notes. I've just been in a call with an SVP, and I wrote down what they said, and they said to me, I'm refusing to interview anybody that isn't visible on social.
Oh,
for job roles, this is
for job roles, yeah. So they have just taken over from somebody, and there was a particular post that they were looking for that's taken them 8 months to fill. They decided not to press the button on the hire because they were waiting for this person to come in. So she's come in, and they said, "There's a job that we're about to offer this job. Are you just okay with that?" And she said, "No, we rejected them." And said, "Why?" Because the person isn't connected to anybody on social.
I think that often I think that's really interesting to hear that from somebody that's actually at the coalface with this, because I think one of the things that's really interesting is that as a buyer, your default behavior before you buy something is to go onto the internet and see what people say about it, see whether or not the product's any good. A salesperson rocks up at your door, knock, knock, knock. I've got this fantastic new car shampoo that will clean your car better than anything else. And before you buy it, you're very likely to open your phone, look at the car shampoo. And when it says it's a scam, it's rubbish, oh, there's nothing there at all, you'll say, actually, I'm not in the market for that now. Whereas if their words are validated by what you see, you're much more likely to buy it.
So this person also said, if you can't tell your own story, you're not going to be able to tell our company's story.
Well, yeah,
that's brilliant.
Yeah, particularly in a sales role. And I used to sell to marketing, and I was so surprised when I would reach out to connect with somebody on LinkedIn to hopefully have a conversation with them, to start that conversation. And marketing hadn't posted somebody in marketing hadn't posted for the last 90 days. And I'm thinking, well, what have you been doing? Now, I think what they'd been doing is creating lovely posts for the corporate page, and nothing else, and not even posting that on their own page. And I just found that really interesting that marketing didn't post on LinkedIn, even though that was seen as a channel. And
Adam
again,
and I did a job interview once with somebody, and they came on, and the first thing was that they said, "I'm a social media expert." And Adam said, "So, okay, that's interesting. Why haven't you posted on LinkedIn for the last 2 years?"
Yeah.
The interview didn't go very well from then onwards.
Yeah, but you know, the reality is either something's important or it isn't. So, you know, we've often joked about the fat fitness coach, you know, and actually if the person that is going to get you in shape and help you to become hyper fit because you want to run a marathon or whatever isn't actually an exemplar of that, then you can't really believe their words, because words are easy.
Yeah, this SVP that said, "I want people that that other people want to listen to." You know, I'm you know, this isn't about, you know, you, as you go through your career, you automatically build up a network, and people either want to listen to you or they don't. And I think we're going back to the original question that the exam question that Bertrand said, which is that you know, how do we do that and make sure that we're ever present? Because if we want to have someone to pick us for this job like this SVP, we need to be present and we need to be telling our own story. You know, we need to be telling our personal and professional story, and that's important.
Yeah, so I think, you know, the reality is that the individual needs to be responsible for speaking to their audience, because, you know, I'm Tim's friend. I don't want to, well, I mean, I work with Tim, so I do want to hear what his company is doing. But you know, generally speaking, I'm not interested in hearing Tim being a voice, a mouthpiece for the corporation. I want to hear what Tim's doing. Now, some of that may be, this is really exciting, and I'm doing this at the moment at work. That's great, and that's in his voice. But when he just simply takes the corporate content and reposts it, that's of zero value. And we see that validated as a belief system. We see that validated in every single person that we've ever looked at on LinkedIn, which is when they share a corporate post, very few people or nobody engages with it, except maybe if you're senior, some of the people that report to you and are responsible for you signing their paychecks. And if you share something personal, even if that personal thing is simply you at the departure gate saying, "I'm flying to Las Vegas to go to the conference," gets 100 times more engagement. So that's what people need to do. They need to share stuff that is written in their voice. But learning the skills can take time, can't it?
And also just being somebody that travels. There's somebody in my network who seems to be at every single industry conference, and you think, well, okay, you're very good at leveraging the budget that your company's got for marketing to go to all these conferences. Does that tell me whether that person's strategy for the company is leading to sales? Does that tell me whether that person understands the pain points of the customers that the company that they work for are trying to serve? No, it just tells me that that person's very good at at getting to go to all these conferences. And I think that you know, that's where it goes the other way, that these are the things that people feel safe with sharing in a professional capacity, but they don't actually tell me as a buyer whether your company, your software provider is a good fit for my company, that it works, that other people are using it, and that I'm actually going to be able to deliver value by using it for my company, that it's not just another thing that you're going to sell me that I'm going to buy and then leave on a shelf, or I can't work out how to use it, or my team's not able to use the tool in a way that's going to deliver value for the organization. So that's where I think there's this point in the middle where it doesn't really give you any confidence as a buyer.
Absolutely.
Well, as a matter of fact, I think we are all we all have we all are two faces of the same coin, right? So we're individuals, and we have beliefs, we have passions, we have a proper identity, and at the same time we do have a job. And this is the other side of the coin. So the point is that we're very often hear, if I post a picture of me with my dog, I'm mistaking. I'm not on the right platform if I do that on LinkedIn. Well, as a matter of fact, we are. We are generating a coffee machine, a digital coffee machine, so that everybody who has a dog can actually look at us in a slightly different different fashion. But then I think what we very often see is that these two sides are very delimited. So, here I am on a booth, here I am at the sales kickoff with my friends making fun, and then all of a sudden I'm also very corporate. I mean, deep into the corporate language when it comes to talking about what I do, so that I end up having no point of view. And I think customers are looking for point of views.
They are, and they're looking for delivery of insights, like you said, Helen, insights and confidence, but they're looking for that delivered in a way that doesn't feel like it's a sales pitch. So, we have a tool that solves these three problems is very different to, if you're looking to be successful, these are the three problems you need to solve. And one of them, the sales pitch, is explicit, and the other, it's implicit. And actually, in my experience, people do not want to be told, if you buy our product, it will deliver these three things. What they want to hear is, these are the things you need to consider when you're looking to solve these problems. And you're hoping that they will make the connection between that and your product. But the more overt you become, the more they get turned off by that, because they see it as a sales pitch, and we all feel uncomfortable in being pitched to.
But we're in this situation, aren't we, that people, will say, I've got nothing to say. People will laugh at me. I'm too busy. We've also got the brand police saying, I don't want my salespeople to go rogue. I don't want them to talk about certain things. I can't trust my sales team because they'll use profanity or talk about the competition or something like that. So, you've also got to understand that there is people that actually will restrict people to go out on social media and not talk.
And I think there's no delineation in terms of that policing between a very small company where a founder's very hands-on and very involved in everything and worried about the brand and building the brand, through to an extremely big corporate entity who's absolutely obsessed with brand and where the logos, and the brand is mentioned. So it's not even a size thing where this applies to. I think it's across the piece. I mean, I saw a post today, and I can't remember who did it, but that had the F word in it twice, and I was like, oh my goodness. One, is that now acceptable on LinkedIn? And two, I wonder where that person's brand police are, because I would suggest that, it was a screenshot of something with F, but it also had F in the text as well. I thought that was interesting because I was like, I don't think that's not something I've seen before on LinkedIn. So
I think that sometimes some people mistake things, don't they, that between business and maybe what they see in the influencer world. And so, we see certain behaviors going on, whether it's David Beckham, whether it's Jordan, whether it's Kim Kardashian, whether it's Gary Vaynerchuk or whatever. And because they do or say those things, people think that that's acceptable. And that's very different, because that they are actually themselves, regardless of what they do in because they're influencers. That's very different from the business world, which is actually, there's a, we have a, we would we swear in a meeting? Well, not normally, unless you know the person really, really well. And usually there's a thing when you get to know somebody where there's a signal where you can swear. But to begin with, you wouldn't do that. And I'm surprised that the LinkedIn algorithm doesn't pick that up, because I've known people that have been blocked for saying far less than that.
And whether it's still up there now, I don't know.
I think that's a really good point, because part of the Gary Vaynerchuk brand is the fact that he's very free with his language, and he swears a lot. Pretty much every sentence has got a swear word in. If you were a consultant for IBM, clearly that probably isn't the point. So the challenge for every business is that what we want you to go out and champion us in the marketplace, champion all of the brand values of professionalism and surety of delivery and all of those things that we stand for as a brand. But we want you to do it in your voice, because if you do it in your voice, it's much more likely to get consumed and engaged with by the audience. So there is a guardrail and a ring fence that needs to be put around these posts, isn't there?
Certainly, and also I think there's a whole discussion that probably needs to happen around who is your audience. Do you really know your audience? Are you intentional in what you're doing? Because I think there's a little bit of a mix between what we usually call the vanity metrics. So how many views, how many impressions, how many views of profile, how many saves, etc. And the fact that you actually are talking to somebody who may be rating you without reacting, but definitely rating you. So I think it's quite important that you understand who you are talking to, who you are communicating, who's your audience, basically, so that you can package things up with respect to that specific audience in your voice, of course. Huh? So that's where you're adding an additional level of complexity. Let's put it this way.
Yeah. So the challenge, Tim and I have been training and coaching salespeople and teams to be active on social, and there are a series of repeating barriers that people have as to why they don't do the posting side of things. They may be really diligent about connecting to people and messaging people and engaging with people's content, but the posting bit and those, probably more than this, but the obvious ones for that are I haven't got time. For me to write a post takes too long, and I'm too busy doing other stuff on which I am either measured or compensated on. The second thing is I don't know what to say. And I need to write a post every day. What am I going to write a post about today? I haven't got any ideas. I haven't got time to read the news feeds and look at my customers and see what it is that they're doing. So I have to conjure something up. Further to your point, Helen, about, you do the post about being on a stand, you do the post about traveling, you do a post about things, because they're cheap and easy to do. You just take a photo of yourself while you're out with the dog and go, I'm out walking the dog, and hope someone's going to engage with it, but it doesn't move you closer to your clients. And then lastly, there's the fear, again, tied up with that, what am I going to post thing, which is if I'm going to own the post, I need to take a position on what it is that I'm talking about. So I talk to my clients, and these are the three things that they keep telling me that they have a challenge with. Okay, well, if I get those three things wrong, I've just demonstrated that I actually don't know the marketplace. So I'm actually moving myself further from my customers. All of the customers that I deal with in the pharmaceutical industry, this is the big challenge they're facing at the moment. And they will look back and go, no, it's not. Okay, so I've alienated myself from them. So how do we balance these things then?
Well, I'm in line with you. No time is probably the first pushback, but it's an excuse actually. For the second one, which is I don't know what to talk about. And to be fair, there are, and we all know that there are ways to work, first of all, around your editorial line. So what you could be talking about, and that has to do with you, your ICP, and then your ICP industry, standing for ideal customer profile. So basically your audience, their industry, and you. And this is all around, if you organize that properly, then you probably have 6 or even 7 topics to talk about from the entire week. If you were to post every day, which is certainly not sustainable in the beginning. But then, getting ideas, getting news. You talked about the news, for instance. I do have a Google News setup. I'm not 100% convinced by the content that gets out of this, or what to do with it. And there are, just talking about Google, but there are countless news scrappers and or news concentrators, which is great, but it doesn't tell me how to use it. Which can be also so in other words, maybe pointless if I don't know what I should be talking about.
Yeah, and I think the thing about it is it's a chicken and egg thing for somebody who's a salesperson, and so I'll pick me as a case study. So I'm posting every day, I'm doing my outreach, and I'm building up a community and a pipeline, and then if the way you're doing it is successful, which the way I'm doing it using the social selling way of doing things is successful, you end up with lots of conversations, and then you don't have time to do that bit's the bit that even for us, for I'm sure it takes a little bit of time to think about what to write and to write it, to be confident that you're not saying the same thing that you said last week, and that it's something new. It takes time, and the more successful you are, the less time you have. You think you should be preparing for conversations, thinking about what you talk to somebody about, and hopefully taking the sales process along. So I think it's difficult. On the other side, I think I'd be interested in people that are being deployed as in that sort of employee advocacy space. Again, they've got their day job that they're doing. They're not writers, they're not creators. When are they going to get time to do it? And then if it takes too much time, they feel that that's not really what they're paid to do. They're the chief financial officer. They're not there to create a post and post it on LinkedIn or whatever. So I think it's that there's the time thing's really important. I wouldn't underestimate that. And I know possibly yourselves can spin something up in 3 seconds because you've been doing it for 10 years, but it's harder than you think. And you're not creative every day, and you're not flowing every day, and it's hard. It's hard to keep consistent with it.
Yeah, even 10 years in, it isn't 3 seconds to do it. 20 minutes to write a post and check it and find an image and all that stuff. So people need help doing this, and the challenges that we have. And it's interesting that you said about people in an employee advocacy role. The problem with an employee advocacy tool is that generally it takes marketing content, it puts it in a hopper, and it says you as an employee can go and access the tools in the pre-approved and written posts in this hopper, and then you can simply connect your LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, whatever it may be, to this, and it will publish out to your audience. And because they're your audience and you've published it, they're going to read it. Now we know that isn't true. So we can spam our audience with stuff that they don't really want to see by using a traditional employee advocacy tool. We can say to people, you just need to publish every single day. And like you said, Helen, it takes you half an hour to write a post and publish it. Or you're walking the dog at 6:30 in the morning, you take a photo of yourself with Fido and you post, say, here I am on my daily walk with Fido. And you do that every single day. And it takes you 5 minutes to do that. And at least you're fulfilling the thing. But neither of those move you closer to your clients. Neither of them make you look credible. Neither of those make you look like you're the person that can solve my particular pain point if I'm in one of your target companies. So that only leaves me with writing the post myself, doesn't it? Looking at what the challenges are in the marketplace, writing a post, which takes me, if it's one of those value add posts, might take me 45 minutes to do that. And then by the time I've checked the time, published it, it's an hour a day, which few people can afford in reality. So what can we do to solve this bottleneck? This is our problem for a decade, isn't it? Helping people solve this kind of challenge. Tim, how do we solve this problem?
Well, funnily enough, that's why we've developed Aspitelo.ai. It solves all of the things that we've been talking about. There's someone at the door.
Yeah, they're delivering a box of Aspitelo.ai to him. But joking aside, we've struggled long and hard with this, and the idea of having a tool that fits into a box that people already have on their radar, like an employee advocacy tool. But we know from experience that those things, the demo is really exciting. You can take this and you can do this, and you can rework this, and you can add your own top and tail on this, and that's what we would recommend you do. But again, the pressure of time means that people don't do that.
Yeah.
And I think that there's always the big difference between what should happen and what actually happens. And we've been doing this long enough now to know what actually happens in almost all cases.
And I'm really interested in how, it makes what comes out of it sound like Helen, and two, it makes something that sounds like Helen not look like something that AI created to sound like Helen. Because I think that's one of the some of the criticisms of what people are publishing on LinkedIn just now is, I think they've been very creative, but one sentence per line, I didn't even know this was called broetry till I started working with your good selves. But creating something that doesn't look like AI created it, but also sounds like Helen, feels interesting to me, because that's the biggest challenge. Because it must be possible, because somebody can text me and I might think it's my son and try and scam me out of money with it. So it can do it. I know it hasn't done it to me personally, thank goodness, but so we know it's out there. But how do we do it in this
the problem that most people have with AI is that they're basically using it's an empty box. So all AIs have scraped the whole of the internet, the whole of social media, all books ever written. So every single AI exactly the same. So I can basically go to AI and I can say, write me an article about Scotland's World Cup.
Oh no!
And it will write an article, but it will write that article based on what's been written out there. It's not based on what Helen thinks. It's not based on any other data. So you can go to Claude, you can go to ChatGPT, you can go to Gemini, and it will probably give you fairly similar sorts of article. So the first thing that you need to do is that you need to have grounded data. So from a business perspective, we're talking about some of the things that we talked about just now, which is the case studies, the website, your keywords, your brand guidelines, defining your value proposition, defining your ICP. If you start actually building that out within the AI, what it's got far more grounded data to actually work on, to enable it to actually come up with an idea that, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write an article about how Scotland have got on in the World Cup, but it's going to be applicable to our value proposition and our ideal customer profile. Then if we start bringing in information around, for example, it may be the industry we work on or the companies that we're working with. And then more importantly, to make it sound like Helen, what we do is that we bring in data where it shows your tone of voice.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, when you onboard with Aspetillo, what it asks you for is 3 examples of articles that you've written. That may be an article on LinkedIn. It may be an email that you sent. Clearly, you don't use customer data in that. It may be that you've written, a front of a proposal or something like this, the executive summary. So it gets an idea of what your tone is like. Then you're in a situation where it can bring all of that data together and use that to create. So I'm going to write an article about how Scotland got on in the World Cup, but it's going to be in Helen's tone of voice, but it's going to be with the keywords that marketing wants, and it's going to meet the brand guidelines that marketing wants. So we can, for example, we can stop you posting things like futures. So you can't say, here's a future facility we have. It will stop you, if you want to, posting profanity. It will stop you mentioning competitors, for example. So what you've got is this thing where it's going to write content in Helen's voice, meeting brand guidelines. So it's an authentic post that meets brand guidelines.
But this will take forever to set up, won't it, for each person? Because, fundamentally, it's an awful lot of stuff it's asking for.
Yeah. So we've, I think where we're coming from with this is really first of all is consulting experience in that field, so that we know exactly what needs to be done to enable the team on social, and therefore the outcomes of that process is very easy then to onboard onto a platform, because we will be targeting things like who are your ICPs, what are your value propositions, who are you, Ellen? What are your passions? What are you doing on weekends? And also, the very nice book that you've written on on sales data and how to interpret them. So we know all of that, and therefore we, as Tim said, we understand your audience.
Mm-hmm.
We understand who you are, and therefore it's far easier for us to come up with something that will speak in your tone, or very close to. Of course, there's an ongoing learning process. We all know that. So we can make reviews. It's a little bit like an HR process, to be honest. So we can make reviews and performance reviews and make sure that over time, and actually very quickly, you can read the outcome of a publication process and say, well, I'm okay with that. And on top of that, we can do that in still being compliant with marketing rules. So I think that's. So how long does it take? Was that your question, Adam? I think you onboarded this morning. So how long did it take you to onboard? We don't hear you, Adam.
You're on mute or something.
You're on mute.
Sorry. I logged in as a new user. So, and it was my first time. Obviously, I'd seen the platform demoed from you, Bertrand, but it was the first time that I was entering it as an end user. So I needed to tell it about myself. So I used some of what I'd written in LinkedIn for that. I needed to give it some examples of how I speak when I'm writing content. And I gave it 3 examples of that. And then I asked it to write a post based on, I didn't actually give it any guidance on that. I just said, write a post that might be appropriate based on what I'm talking about at the moment. And it came back with a post, which I then analyzed against my ICP and found an 87% fit.
Well done.
And then, well, I haven't done anything at this point. And I then selected an image from the platform that was already royalty free and appropriate based on the keywords that were showing up in the article, and wrote 5 tweets and published it to LinkedIn. So from first entering a password, setting my password on the platform, to my first post going live, 8.5 minutes. So obviously when I go in next time, if I decide to publish a post tomorrow, and choose to do it with the platform, then I will not need to set up my username and password. I will not need to enter any information and configure it. I'll just be able to go in, press start, publish the post. I envisage it will take 2 minutes or less. Now, obviously, that's quite quick for producing a post.
So let's just wind back on that. So it took you 2 minutes. For me, the onboarding took 30 seconds, and I could have just pressed. So it's like you can get a post out in 60 seconds, and if you don't piss about changing the stuff and just So let's go back. So Bertrand talked about there's a consultancy process. There's a consultancy process because we need to load your ICP, your value propositions and stuff. And that can be very simple because what we've done before is that to get your ICP is that we actually find that most people say they have it defined, but they don't. So what we do is that we just get on a call like this, get the person to talk about who their ICP is, who's the person that you want to sell to. You basically get a transcript, and we can basically pull that straight into the product. So we put all those things together. So the user, when it actually comes to use it, can actually produce something, as I said, within 60 seconds. If you want to piss about with it, it can take you 7 or 8 minutes. So that's a situation where you're taking. Remember that post that Adam posted meets the brand guidelines, is defined, written for his ideal customer persona to basically stop and read. So it's scroll stopping content, and it meets the value proposition, and it's an authentic post, something that Adam would read. So all of that written within 60 seconds.
And I think for most people in the organisation who are wanting to contribute by being visible, by understand the impact that this has on getting conversations with people. If you're in sales, the impact that this has on getting conversations with people, and that we don't need to overthink it. This is what marketing would want us to say. I think is not to be underestimated. I might, when I log on and on board and use Aspertillo, I might look at it and think I'd like to slang it down a bit, that it's a little bit too formal for me, but I'm sure it will learn if I edit it, which you can do, and it just looks like a Word document when you edit it. But I think most people will just be wanting to get content out there because they understand that is being helpful, it's being visible, and it's helping to get conversations with people, and that's where we start.
So this is basically achieving one of the holy grails of marketing, which is that marketing can still produce. So there's a number of ways that you can basically get content. You can get content in for me to basically work on. One is that there's a news feed, and it will, when you log in, it will automatically find the most relevant article for you. Already write the heading, and all you have to do is press basically publish. So it is a matter of seconds. Or what it could do is it actually could bring in corporate content. So it could bring in content, and again, what you're doing is you're taking corporate content and posting it authentically within seconds. And the third thing that you can do is you can basically reshare your content that you've written back into the tool. So I could basically, if Adam writes something and I think that's really interesting, what I can do is I can take Adam's content and I can reshare it in my voice. In my authentic voice. This is the thing that's going to make organizations memorable, distinctive, and different. This is what marketing has been searching for 30 years, to enable people to basically to do that at speed, at scale, and be able to do it in an authentic voice. It's for brands, this is just something that they have to sign up to now.
Yeah, and I think also that you know, peppered in with that are posts about us walking the dog, about us being human. So I'm able to share really helpful stuff to my ICP, to people in my network, but I'm also able to be human as part of that. Now I can use Aspertillo to write me something about walking the dog or gardening or
Oh, you're gonna do that with your phone. You're gonna take a picture of you and your dog with your phone in Aspertillo, and then just write a few lines and off you go.
So I can still be human as part of that. And again, back to being distinctive. One of the ways that makes brands distinctive are the people that work for them. That are, you know, people like the four of us, quite different people, and that's part of it as well. So that's that. I think that bit's really interesting as well. That you've got all of that fantastic stuff that's to do with work, you know, peppered in with a little bit of play as well.
So there's a voice facility on it on the mobile version as well. So I can come out of a meeting with the SVP who said, I'm refusing to interview anybody that isn't visible, and you can basically say, I've just come out of a meeting with an SVP who said, I'm refusing to interview anybody that isn't visible on social. Write me a post about it.
In your voice.
And it will do that in my voice, an authentic post in my voice, which is targeted to my ICP, my value proposition, and meets the brand guidelines.
Wow.
In seconds.
That's bad.
And if you wanted to, you could read that through and you could say, actually, I would rather reword that line, and you can reword the line, and the AI will then learn. Aspertillo will learn from the fact that you've reworded it that this is how you would rather speak about this.
So I would say he's a wee boy rather than a little boy, or a wee dog.
A wee dog. A wee dog.
A wee dog. Yeah.
It's a wee dog. Well, that's just what I would say because I've lived here for a long time. But,
So Bertrand, in Scotland, they say wee instead of little.
Little.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's
a
a
little
wee
dog then.
It's a wee dog rather than a little dog.
Or a wee dram.
Okay.
A dram is a small
glass of whiskey.
small measure of usually whiskey. So a wee dram is a large dram is a large whiskey.
Okay, excellent. So I've learned something today.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
Very useful, by the way.
Well, if you go to Scotland on holiday and you
it's well. Actually,
they'll know what you're talking
I won't forget this one.
Yeah,
nearly as useful as Aspertillo, eh? Nearly.
But I think that the point about this and why we're so excited about this is that if you are a salesperson, you now have an ability to write targeted posts that reach out to the audience that you want to speak to, containing the information that you need to communicate, wrapped in your voice in a way that you would genuinely speak, that fulfills, that does the difficult thing that you said about, Helen, where you're writing a post in your voice, but a post that's technically correct and targeted towards your company. So it does that, which is the win for you as the salesperson.
And the consistency,
if you're in marketing, your concern is that you're always publishing posts or creating adverts which people don't consume and don't engage with. And now you have a way of taking that information that you have written that is factually correct, very on brand, and has a powerful message, and disseminate that through the voices of everybody within your organization to all of their hyper-engaged audiences that want to hear those individuals speak. And if you're the CEO, you have a way of seeing the company go-to-market strategy executed flawlessly by everybody in the business. Because we're talking about salespeople, but it doesn't have to be salespeople. It can be anybody in the business that has any kind of audience or network. Now those people have an opportunity to speak on behalf of the business in a way that is safe.
So I got a question. The tool's really interesting, but how am I going to actually know how to grow a network, or why would I know how to do this? I mean, one of the problems with tools always is that what they do is that people roll it out and then nothing happens.
Yeah. So we've thought this one through.
So okay, you thought this through. So what have you done? What have you done that's different?
Yeah, we don't separate the tool and the methodology, which is common best practice, I would say. I mean, for any solution that has been really groundbreaking.
Is it? Well, I'll give you an example. I met with Rent-A-Kill many years ago, which they catch rats, and they basically had a presentation from LinkedIn about Sales Navigator, and Sales Navigator was presented like it was the Immaculate Conception. So they basically bought and Sales Navigator. They switched it on a Monday, and nothing happened.
It's like the MCP, the LinkedIn MCP for cloud.
So why if people get this tool, why is it that this, people aren't going to use it, are they?
Because content publishing is not the only dimension of a social presence.
Right.
It is probably the one that is preventing you from really being active and present and visible, and therefore over time influential. But publishing content alone won't make it happen. So
what have you done?
We're still back to, you need a customer focused, you need a customer oriented profile. So you need to invite people.
So what have you done? Come on, tell us.
The videos with the French accent. Perhaps.
Come on. So what have you done?
So what have we done? We have a online self-paced training that you can follow on. So let's put it this way. So we explain to you. We always explain why we should do things, because we believe that in soft skills acquisition, you need to understand why you need to do things. But then the how you do them, then we explain that through an online training.
So there's a computer-based
self-paced
computer-based training.
And then we have coaching sessions.
It's going okay. I'm only a little way into it, but it's going okay. And I think that one of the things that combats then is you see lots of people that hear that the way to get more sales is to get on the telephone or to send emails. So I'll just bang those out. I'll just phone. I'll just bang them out without perhaps understanding why that might be important, or why, when you actually get somebody to pick up the phone, what you might need to say and how that might work. And I think that this is the really interesting thing about this, is that the training is putting everything into context. About back to the meetings. The meetings don't come because I'm posting something interesting on LinkedIn. The meetings come through human connection, and human connection comes through a way of doing things, which the training's going to help with us. The e-learning's going to help with as well.
40 meta cheats in this training that you're going to have to go through. And
hear your voice all the way through, Bertrand.
Okay. All right. So that's one. Yeah. So clearly, and then we do coaching, of course.
Coaching is so important.
So just so people understand, because they don't understand, of course. So what we've always done with our sales training is that coaching is the coaching element, and it's the coaching element that's really important, because you can do a computer-based training system, but the fact of the matter is you'll be sitting there going, I don't really get this. And while Bertrand's voice is nice to listen to, you might actually want to talk to somebody and say, can you explain this to me? So within the computer-based training, there are basically breaks where you can basically ask for a 30-minute coaching session. And that's with a human, not with an Android or anything. And that person will listen to you, and you've got someone to talk to. So there's the computer-based training. There's also the coaching. And then we've also got the aspatilla.ai content creation tool. Exciting.
It's a pretty complete solution. All right. Well,
so if you want a robo-calling, email, spamming product, don't come to us. We're not in that game. We're into building influence, building visibility, making sure the brands are memorable, distinctive, different, and doing that in an authentic voice.
Excellent.
Because people buy from people.
They do.
Indeed, they do.
Indeed, they do. Well, thank you all. That was a great session. If our audience want to know more, we do have a QR code here, so you can subscribe to our newsletter, or you can just reach out to us directly through direct messages, and we'll be happy to discuss this exciting new environment with you. All right. So with that said, have a great weekend, everyone, and we'll be in touch next week. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye. Bye.